All right, welcome back to Legacy Builders, everybody. Thanks again for joining us for another episode in our mindset series. And we have a special guest on today that's really going to help us talk about mindset. Greg Taylor, friend of mine and coach, mentor, leadership, teaches on leadership. And we're just so honored to have Greg Taylor join us today. We'll talk a little bit more about him and what he does. But we just wanted to start off say thank you, Greg, for taking time to join us today. And you want to say anything?
Yeah, I mean, the one and only Greg Taylor is with us.
Oh my,
so
easy. Easy. That's way too much pressure. I'm just Greg. That's all. And I do what Miss Mickey tells me to do. So
yeah.
Well, thank you for joining us.
Yeah, I thank you all so much for allowing me to be here. So I'm honored. Thank you.
Yeah, appreciate that. So you mentioned Mickey. So maybe to start us off, so we had Mickey and Greg on one of our past episodes, and so maybe for those who are new to our podcast and new to you, maybe just tell us a little bit about yourself, your background, your family, kind of catch our viewers up to speed.
My name's Greg Taylor. I was born in a coal mining camp. True story. Which my mom and dad were born and raised in a coal mining camp in eastern Kentucky, where they had a fence around the camp, and their currency was actual scrip. So if you wanted U.S. American dollars, you had to exchange at the gate if you were going into town. But town was an hour and a half away. So the work camp had everything you needed right there, which my mom and dad thought it's the greatest thing since sliced bread. So, which I lived there until I was 2 years old. Then I moved out. My dad, he was a school teacher. He started a football program at Montgomery County High School. Then he moved to Corbin, Kentucky. He was a principal at Lincoln High School for like 25, 30 years. I went to high school at Corbin, Kentucky, went to Western Kentucky University on a football scholarship. However, I graduated from college, I have no idea. So I met this nice young girl called Mickey Cunningham, and she's been my wife for 35 years. So then we moved to Cookeville, Tennessee, and worked with Averitt Express for 8 years. And they're just an amazing people, an amazing company, and a lot of things that we'll be talking about today is the things that they taught some wild animal that came out of a football environment into a business environment. That's another story in itself. But they genuinely love people, and they still love me, and I'm still friends with a bunch of those people over there, especially my mentor. Then they made me so smart. I went and started my own business. We went from $0 to $20 million in 4.5 years. And on the 7th year, we went to 0, and that was a heck of a lot faster when we got to 20 million. I can tell you that. But long story short, a guy took over all of my tractors and trailers to soften my financial downfall. Then we went to Shreveport, Louisiana, and we lived there for 10 years. Basically, my two boys, Trey and Trent, were raised there, and they went to school at Evangel Christian Academy. And my oldest son played football at University of Arkansas, Monticello. My youngest son played at Louisiana Tech in Ruston, which he's currently playing with the Cincinnati Bengals. And he just finished his 6th year. And Mickey and I moved to Nashville. We got rid of all those chicklings out there and those little chickens following us around. So we've been empty nesting now for the last 10 years, and we're very happy with that. Now we reside in Nashville. I've started my own leadership coaching and speaking business 4 years ago, and Mickey started a real estate business 5 years ago. So a lot of our friends think we're crazy. We're in our 50s and we started doing something totally we've never done in our entire life. But it's something that we both always thought about. Dream's a tough word, but we always thought about doing these things. So the moral to the story is it's never too late to change your mindset.
Man, that's a great segue. That's a great segue.
I didn't even practice that.
Yeah, it's almost like you rehearsed that segue, but no, that's why we're here in our mindset series, because Madison and I talked about who to have on to help talk about mindset. We talked about it's kind of an interesting concept or topic to do a series on, because people don't really talk about mindset. No. And you don't really hear a lot of people talk about teaching about mindsets. And occasionally we'll find a couple books here or there if we're in our self-help section of the bookstore or the audio books or whatever, and we'll come across something about mindset, but it's just not really a big topic. But as Mass and I would talk about, and you'll probably, I think you would agree with this, Greg, that mindset's really one of the most important things to understand and how we're going to change. And so
I'd never heard anybody talk about mindset till 4 years ago.
Hmm.
Yeah. Okay.
So I was doing some leadership training for some state farm agents in Lexington, Kentucky, and they wanted to talk about mindset. So I was like, thank God, God gave us a Webster dictionary.
Yeah.
So I went and studied mindset. To me, at that point of my leadership career, a mindset was an attitude for me. So I made it a quick change, but it's a little bit more than that, than an attitude. So, which we'll get into a lot of that today. So
Yeah.
Yeah.
if somebody hasn't heard the word mindset, it's okay. I mean, you can always learn.
I think that's a great starting point too, if you would even share your definition of mindset, because we looked it up, and like you said, it was the attitude. That's how the internet defines that.
Well, so yeah, somewhat of an
Really?
attitude.
Yeah.
Really? Well, they must have came to me. Hey, as I tell
Right.
my wife, don't ask Google, just ask me.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Oh, Greg has it.
I won't be on the humble section of y'all show. So
Yeah, love it. So yeah,
God
so
just-
you've developed, you mentioned, and this is kind of where I want to tap in your, in your story, your life story is where you're at now. You're a leadership coach, and you're helping people change their mindsets, and you have created programs, and you got a new podcast out, which we'll share later, and how everybody can find you. At the end, we'll make sure everybody knows how to contact you and find you. But so you've developed a program that you take people through one of your leadership courses, and you have actually have a definition that you've come up with for mindset. So maybe we stop and share that, or whatever you want to say.
This is my leadership training course, Take Another Step System, an inspirational leadership workshop. So my life is, my mindset was, if I'm not first, I'm last.
Hmm.
So if I didn't win, if I wasn't number one, that makes me a loser.
Mm.
That's a tough life to live. It's like the Ricky Bobby story. If you're not first, you're last. But
Hmm.
do you remember what his dad told him out in the middle of the highway?
I don't.
He said, heck, son, I was high when I told you that. Not good advice. So I did not see Talladega Nights before I started to understand what mindset was, but that's one of my favorite movies. But this is my leadership training course, and mindset, because I'm trying to build a foundation, because my premise of this inspirational leadership workshop is a leader is a person who can inspire another person to take a journey that they will not take by themselves. They're just not going to do it. So to understand, to be a leader, I have to inspire someone to do something they're not going to do. I've got to understand mindset.
Mm-hmm.
First of all, do I have a mindset to accept that? Do I have a mindset to understand that person still has value, even though they're not going to do what I tell them to do? I have to inspire them to do what I want them to do.
Mm-hmm.
Because if you don't understand mindset, you won't understand your own. Because if you don't understand your own mindset, you can never help someone validate their own mindset, or then help them change it to help them get what they want. So my definition is mindset is a particular way of thinking, a person's attitude, or a set of opinions. Lord knows we all have opinions, right? So that's pretty good. And it's an attitude or set of opinions. This is the way you think.
Mm-hmm.
It's a frame of mind which orients or leads an individual to a particular set of associations. To me, that says trigger point. What triggers you? Everybody's got trigger points, and those trigger points are way down in our unconscious mind. It's an experience that it's either good, bad, or ugly. And sometimes those ugly experiences that are down in our unconscious mind come out. We don't even know why it did that.
Yeah.
Why did I get mad at that person for saying that? Well, you got to unravel how many. I'm 59. I have to unravel 59 years of my life to go back and find that point. Why do I get mad when that person says that? Because the biggest mindset I had to get over was a fear of rejection, because that triggered a lot of my bad behavior. Because that mindset of a fear of rejection led me to fight people physically. It led me to fight. If I'm not first, I have no value with my life, because that way it leads me to a particular set of associations, expectations, and behaviors. Me having a mindset of fear of rejection, made me a horrible husband, a horrible father, just horrible. But until I had to fix that, I could fix that. God came in and cleaned that out of my heart one day. But I had to be aware of that. First, you got to be conscious to it. Then you got to figure out, are you going to let that ruin your life, or are you going to do something about that? So the best thing that I do in my one-on-one coaching and leadership training course is bring people to consciousness about what their mindset is. And that's what the purpose of this module 2 is. What is your mindset?
Wow. Well, maybe before we get into how you help people, because I know it's kind of the premise of what we're going to be talking about here. Before we get into that part, maybe you kind of touched on a little bit. It sounds like you had a personal journey where you had this epiphany or a mindset change in your personal life. Maybe you can share a little bit more about that. What was this defining moment, or did you even have a defining moment where hey, I had a change in my life?
Yeah, I call them a pivot point.
Okay.
Right. My first I'll call it I've had a lot of pivot points, Coach.
Hey, I think we all do that.
Yeah, it's okay. It's okay.
Yeah.
I can learn.
Yeah.
Pivot point. So I'm in college. I'm playing college football at Western Kentucky. I didn't go to school to get a degree. Never thought about it. So I'm in my 4th year. So with the first semester, I'm playing football. I don't go to any class for a month. This is my last year of football. I don't care. I'm not going to class. I'm not going. I don't care. I don't want to learn. I can't learn my mindset. Okay. So once I found out I'm not going to the NFL, and someone said, "How long did that take you?" I said, "I was halfway through my senior year." I said, "Yeah, you're a real rocket." I said, "Yes, I am." Because my mindset said I can't learn, but I can be a great football player. See, I had a growth mindset in athletics because I can beat anybody anywhere. But in the school building, I had a fixed mindset. I can't. Okay. But something changed. What changed? Well, something valuable came to me, which was my wife. And I said, "I want to marry this girl." So what are you going to do, Greg? I said, "I don't know what I'm going to do. How about let's go to class?" Mindset shift. So what shifted my mindset was something valuable. See, our behavior is driven through things that we value, things that make us feel good. Then that changes our mindset. See, I don't know why I had this mindset of a fear of rejection, or I can't learn, and I'm just want to be a dumb jockson. Where that came from, it had to come through my experiences. And to me, I really got it from, I got all my value by scoring touchdowns and hitting home runs and scoring a lot of points because people would brag on you. Well, I like that. I could hear my dad telling his friends about it. He never put the pressure on me, but it brought him pleasure. He would tell my grandparents and they would tell me. So they fed me. I mean, they didn't intentionally mean to do that, but that's what came out of it based on, there's another little factor. It's called the nature part is my personality. So, your belief system is formed of your personality and your experiences. So my fixed mindset was born out of my experiences probably. Because they gave me reward if I was better athletic, so I didn't worry about school. But for me to marry this chick, her dad's a general army, I've got to have a better gig than saying I play football. How about, hey, I'm getting a degree in finance. So I called my brother one day. I need to make a long story short. I need to declare a major because I can't play Saturday because that's when they changed the rule. It's a long story. He said, "You're good at math, study finance." So that's how I became a finance major. My brother told me. Wow. So I got a degree in finance. So I went from a low of a 1.2 GPA to a 3.7, making the dean's list my last semester.
Wow.
It's all because I said, I can learn. It's all right there between years.
Yeah.
It's whatever you decide. That's the power every individual has, is they have the power that God's put in them with the brain that's built for love and growth. And if you'll use it properly for love and growth, it's amazing what it'll do.
Yeah.
Talk a little bit more about that, like, because sometimes we talked about this on our episode, and and Madison asked me this question, like, is it that easy? Like, because you went from a small GPA, senior year, you had this epiphany, your last year of college, and now.
Well, my last year playing football.
Playing football, okay.
Easy.
Okay.
I wasn't that intelligent, committed to getting 4 years. It took me 5 years, but I got out.
Okay.
So my last 4 semesters, I really buckled down in school.
But in a moment, you made a decision,
right?
And then all of a sudden, this decision, I mean, And people are like, is it that easy? Is it that simple? Is it that quick of a turnaround? And I say it can be. In my experience, it has been. But how do you communicate that to somebody else that may have not had that experience to say, look, I just changed my mind? And she's like, what do you mean you just changed your mind? And all of a sudden you're off now studying. Here you weren't studying. You had this, personal mindset change. And now you're doing, looking back, it makes it sound like it was that easy. And I'm like, well, it kind of was that easy. But then once we made the turn, it's a process. You got to work at it.
That's right.
But so maybe, talk a little bit about that.
I'm marrying that chick. That's
Yeah.
my value. She's my value.
So for those people,
because she was very friendly to guys and girls. So I was a very jealous person, very chip on my shoulder type of guy, small man's complex, inferior socially, and financially and educationally. I mean, I had a chip on my shoulder. And she knew all these people, and she was in fraternities and sororities, and she liked to hug everybody. I'm not a hugger. Now that y'all know me, I'm a hugger now.
Right.
So her hugging all those people, I want to fight everybody. She told me real sudden, I don't know who you've been dating, but we don't do that here. This is what I do. You can come along or not. She's telling me what to do. I'm going, you can't tell me what to do. Yeah, I tell you what to do. I don't give a tell you what to do. So I had to have a mindset shift. But it comes back to value. How bad do you want something? So that's how I connect with people. Well, tell me what you want. So, and this is not just asking simple questions. It's a process I take them through, and we ask questions and we get to know each other. I get to know them. They get to know me. The biggest thing, they got to trust me for me to really tap into who they are and what their experiences are and what their mindset is. So I can help them navigate out of that, because that's a very gentle thing to do, because some people, it's a scary process. I just knew, going back and reflecting, that's 35 years ago. I mean, I made a choice based on my value. I want that. Well, you got to change. To go forward, I had a mindset of being a volcano. I now have a mindset of being a missile. And that change, that pivot point was, I'm going to lose my wife and kids. They're going to leave me. I'm crazy.
I was going to ask too, like, so for those people who maybe don't have that external like push or drive of somebody else or something, what would you say? What advice would you give for that, or talking to their story?
Everybody's personality is different. I mean, there's 4 major personality groups based on DISC, which I use path elements, and which Enneagram's got 8. So, is it nature? Is it nurture? Nature is your personality. You got all these personality tests that you can take. Then it becomes your experiences. Is it nature or nurture based on how your belief systems form? Well, to me, and I'm not a trained person, but I've been living for 59 years, and I've been coaching and leading people for 35 years. I know 1 or 2 things about good and bad behavior, because I've had a lot of bad behavior. I've had a lot of good behavior too. But what stems that? I mean, it comes back to my personality, my experiences, because those things inform my behaviors. But the great thing about it's not determinative. See, that just because I have this personality and I've been through this experience doesn't make me who that says I should be. So I've been thrown in jail. Does that make me a criminal? No, I don't choose to be a criminal. My life is what I choose to make it happen.
Yeah.
But it's getting people to understand that. But people say, hey, you can't do that. And all the negative connotations spoken over people, and kids, they don't feel like, they feel trapped. So I go back to my mom and dad. They never said that to me. But if that's all you heard your whole life, you can't. Well, you can't.
That's good.
It's like you put a gnat in a jar. A gnat can jump 36 feet. That's incredible, right?
That's a big jump.
In a jar, put a lid on it, it's going to jump so high, right? So it's like our world in your environment. You're just jumping. So you can jump 36, but you've been only told you can jump 5 inches. Okay. Then after a time, you take that lid off, and that gnat can't get out of there. Its mindset is, I can only do 5 inches. But his raw potential is 36 inches that it can jump. because someone's trapped that person. That's what anxiety and all these things going on in our society. They have a mindset that I can't. I have a fixed mindset. I can't. Nobody wants to help me.
And that
When they
anxiety and
have the
stuff, that
power,
becomes that anxiety and stuff, that becomes the lid. You're saying if they could break through that, I mean, there's a whole nother world out there.
there's a whole nother. See, my mom and dad encouraged me to go be anything I wanted to be. My mom said, you can do it. I tell everybody from a man's point of view, and this is me as a man, every man needs to hear his mom and wife say, you can do it. If I didn't have a mom saying I could do it, or if I didn't have my wife saying I could, I'd be a basket case. If my mom spoke negatively over me and my personality, my experience, I'd be in jail right now. There'd be no doubt about it. See, that's the power of having mother and fatherly influence and family influence and church influence on kids, to let them know they're valuable. Your daddy created the world, and my proof is my fingerprints. I am significant. I can get out of that jar. I've been created to do 36 inches. I haven't been created to do 5 inches.
Yeah.
But that's hard to overcome 18, 20, 30, whatever that is for each individual person to overcome that. But that's why love's there. Love, consistency, focus, being intentional, saying hello to people just over and over and over to help them find value with themselves. The mindset of I'm valuable. That's a powerful tool for a person to grab and say, hey, I'm valuable.
Yeah.
So other than in your personal story, you had mentioned that you found something of value, something that you wanted, and it caused a mindset change. Is there something else in your either personal experience or as you've helped up people unpack and change mindsets? Is there something else other than finding that thing of value that has helped people change a mindset?
That's a good question. That's a good. My head's going. Well, that's a good question. What value is such a big part, because 85% of our behavior comes from our unconscious mind, which is our value system, our belief system, however you want to phrase that.
Yeah. Well, I think a lot of times, wouldn't you agree that that value is I don't want this anymore in my life. Right. I want the opposite.
Right. So before I started my leadership coaching business 4 years ago, I did a 21-day detox with Dr. Caroline Leaf. Caroline Leaf. I mean, you can Google her, www.Caroline Leaf or Dr. Caroline Leaf, a 21-day detox. She's getting in touch with your unconscious mind values, the things that's stopping you from being the best version of yourself. What's stopping me? I wanted to know my limitations that I put on myself. I'm about to go on a journey that I don't know if I'm going to make it or not. So, okay, I need to know what my limitations are, what my mindset limitations are. So I did it for 21 days. Then I heard a guy say, for you to really create an unconscious belief system, it takes you 63 days of doing it consistently over and over and over and over. Some people say 21. What is, I don't know. Everybody's different. But again, those are the numbers. You can say 21 to 63. But I'm saying, hey, I'm a rockhead. It's going to take me longer. But I want to do this so bad. This is my dream. This is my purpose. So I'm willing to do so. I'm willing to face the giants that are holding me back.
So once you found out
I want is on the other side of fear, the things I don't want to recognize about myself.
Yeah. That's so good. Once you found out those limitations, like, what did you do with that?
I just had to go do that stuff.
Did you face them one at a time?
Yeah, one at a time. So the first time I made a video, because everybody's telling me that I had to make videos, I'm going, oh my gosh, because I'm a perfectionist, because I have a fear of rejection. Even though that it's not a big albatross around my neck, it's still, I got little notices. I know that's in me. Okay. I know that's a part of who I am, but I can't let it drive me, because I can feel when it takes over, and I drive my way through there with courage, because I'm going to be courage like King David. He had courage to go kill the giant. I'm going to kill the giant. My giant's a fear of rejection. I can't let it interfere with my purpose.
Yeah, that's good.
Because I'm really tuned into my purpose, which gives me value.
Mm.
So I'm willing to do what I got to do go do that. But if you're not in touch with your purpose, you can't deal with a lot of pain.
Mm-hmm.
If your purpose is to do something that you don't want to work for, as my mama would say, Greg, you can have anything you're willing to work for. That doesn't mean you'll get it. That just means you increase the probabilities. See, I tell everybody, I live in a world of probabilities. Am I going to make it in this leadership coaching business? I don't know. King Solomon talks about in Ecclesiastes, you plant your seed in the morning, you plant it in the evening. You don't know what's going to work. Just keep planting seeds.
Yeah.
Keep growing. Keep finding a different limitation in your life and get someone to help work through that so you can change your mindset from a fixed to a growth mindset. See, washing clothes, I have a fixed mindset. I'm not doing it. That was a joke, man. It's not a joke, but I'm not doing it. As my wife would say, why don't you help? I said, well, you enable me. You do it for me. Why would I ever want to learn how to do that? Because I have a fixed mindset. I don't want to do that. It brings me no value. It has no value for me. I'm not doing it.
I mean, it brings you close to where, so some value.
No, I know. I'm just trying to make fun. Okay. You called me out on that. Okay.
Mickey will appreciate that.
So I told her what that. I said, well, if you don't wash my clothes, I will wash them.
Correct. Yeah. That's true. Yeah.
But you love doing it, so I'll just let you do it.
That's awesome.
So we talked about this at lunch too. The in changing a mindset, you just talked about the value, finding this reason why. And then we also there's maybe another component, and maybe if there's not the reason why or a limitation that would prevent somebody, this thing called belief. What would you say about this concept of belief and changing mindset?
Well, that's what it goes back to the particular way of thinking, person's attitude, set of opinions, and frame of mind, which orients leads to particular associations, expectations, which that's your beliefs. I mean, there's a lot of words that kind of intertwine with each other. But I mean, our behavior comes from our belief system. And I used to tell people that I was developing as a leader in the corporate world, I would go, why do these people act that way? Because someone trained them to. And they would go, Mr. Taylor, nobody trained that person to act that way. Oh, yeah, they did. It's called behavior modification. They doing that because that's what they saw somebody else do. So how would they know to do that? Someone trained them how to do that. Someone trained their belief system. That's why they act that way. Why do they act that way? It's like these mass murderers. When are we going to ever say, why would that child do that? What happened? Our society created that. Now, when are we going to start asking questions why? So we can dig down into the root cause of that behavior. Someone programmed that person to have no value. I don't know what the situation was, but for someone to go do that, they have no value for themselves. Somebody stripped them of their value. And I know that's a very sticky subject, but until we keep asking why, because when I have a certain behavior that doesn't go very well for me with my wife or my boys, I got to ask myself why. Or my daughter-in-law, there's another story that I'm learning to grow with. It's like, how you deal with that? Hold on, I'll teach you later. I'm gonna make a few mistakes. It's like, why do they act that way? Once you ask why, then you can start figuring out how to speak their language based upon their personality and their experiences. To me, why is the most powerful, one of the most powerful words in the universe. Why?
So what made you like, we'll take the example that you give in your personal journey. Your mindset changed because you saw something that you wanted. All right. But and you talked about, you have this fear of rejection. So with this thing that you saw that you wanted and had this fear of rejection, what gave you the belief that you deserved this person, that you were worthy of this person? What shifted, or how did you be like, is that worth pursuing? Like, is this even attainable? So there's also got to be this belief that, okay, because this is what I want, but I don't know if I can get it, but I'm going to go after it because there's this belief that you can attain it regardless of these other factors. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
What do you say to that?
I just know my experience, and I know some other people that I'm working with and their experiences. It's so much to do. What was spoken in your house?
Yeah.
Okay.
Well, I mean, my mom would say, Greg, you can do anything you put your mind to.
So you already had that belief instilled in you.
Oh, and that's through discipline. That's after me being disciplined for bad behavior. Before she would exit me, she would always tell me how special I was. And she would tell me, Greg, you're choosing the wrong behavior. That's your choice. You can choose a better behavior. That's your choice. She taught me my results are a direct affiliation with my behavior, which I choose. Okay. Because a lot of people want to blame, because there's a lot of people that have, I'm not saying this to offend anybody, you have daddy issues. I mean, I didn't have a mommy or daddy issue. Now they probably had a Greg issue. So after I gave my life to Christ, God told me to write them both a letter, because I read Ephesians 6 and it says, honor your mother and father. I never honored my mother and father before. I didn't have a mindset of that, because I was worried about being in trouble all the time. So I was conniving and deflecting. You with me? Because I didn't want to tell them the truth. I didn't want them to know the truth, because I knew the behavior I was doing didn't match what they wanted me to do. But once I found freedom in myself, that they're not going to reject me, because God accepted me. Christ died for me. So therefore, I wrote them both like a 5-page letters to tell them how much I honor you. I love you. I'm sorry. I just listed things, because I want all that out of my mindset, because we all got regrets of things that we've done in the past. And I want all this stuff off of me so I can run and be free of being righteousness. So one of my clients said, sounds like you've been on a cleanup tour. I said, yeah, it's been on for 22 years. I've been cleaning things out of my mindset. That helps me run free of what God's called me to do. And I don't have limit. I'm trying to every day get a limitation out of my brain. I mean, there's like 5 things that stay in my head right now. I got to deal with those 5 things. I mean, I've driven 5 hours just to tell someone, to ask them for forgive me. And that happened 32 years ago.
Wow. And what kind of freedom did that give you?
Well, I don't think about it anymore.
Yeah.
So I'm thinking about something else.
I know. That's what I'm saying. Like, when people get it, when they understand that wherever they're at in life, they can make some changes. Now, when you do this for the first time, it's weird, right? And you don't understand it, but then you're like, wow, but that felt good, and I'm on the right path. So let's do it again and again and again. It's like you say, all these other little mindset things that you want to change, you've already learned how to do that with the past time and another time. So now it becomes easier and easier to make those little tweaks, and like your cleanup. I mean, I'm still in cleanup phase myself, and trying to not just clean up, but redirecting, where I can be, and get that mindset of, where I can be. So it gets easier. Yes.
Oh yes, it gets easier. Oh yeah, that's right. That's right.
So how do you tell people? Oh, go ahead.
Finish this story real quick. Long story.
Okay.
And so I told him, we sat and ate lunch for an hour and a half, had a great time. Then I told him why I was there. Okay. And it's too private for me to say what that was, but in private, I'll tell you all. But when I got ready to leave, he came out and I got out of my car. I said, well, I think he wants to fight. I said, daggone it. I thought I was, because you doubt yourself. Did I do the right thing? I mean, you sit and you're always doubting. Did I do the right thing? Well, it says to forgive people. Okay, I went and asked him to forgive me. I didn't do anything wrong. I mean, I was the one that did something wrong. I want him because I offended someone. It's horrible what I did. So he came out there. He was crying. He looked at me and said, Greg, you will never understand what you've done for me today.
Wow. So
he and I just grabbed each other and started crying.
Wow.
2 grown men that hadn't seen each other in 35, 32, 33 years, whatever it was. We were teenagers.
Yeah.
He'd been thinking
this
about
offense for that long, and then now here you are 30 whatever years later, in this powerful moment that has set not only you free, but set somebody else free.
That's right. I didn't understand that part. I'm not saying if that's what it is. I'm just telling you what I experienced.
Yeah.
That was a true experience. We just both started crying.
Wow.
We're just I was probably 48, 49, 10, 11, 12 years ago. We're in our high 40s and we're just trying to figure out life, man, trying to find peace.
Yeah.
Find our peace and our purpose.
Yeah. Wow.
So what do you say to the person, they hear all this stuff like, man, I mean, I want to change this. I have issues with what maybe my parents have said to me, and there's these negative things that has to be overcome. And so as you're helping people and they come to, they have these challenges that you hadn't experienced yet, just say, maybe the parents that have told them they can't do it.
Right.
So now how do you help them get past that?
Well, first of all, I got to create a safe harbor so they can pull in their ship and then open their heart and dump what's ever in there. Sometimes they don't even know what's in there. Okay. Because it's like a ship. It's not going to pull into Ukraine right now. It's too hostile. So if you pull into a judgmental person, you're not going to share your heart with them.
Yeah.
If you pull into a church that's condemning you as a sinner, you're going to leave. You're just going to leave. That's me. I told Christians witness to me. I said, I'm not going to heaven. You're mad and angry. Why are you mad at me for? Why would I want to be like you? You're miserable. That's what I told them. Why would I want to go to heaven? You're miserable. I'm having fun. Look at me. I'm going out tonight. I'm having a bunch of fun. Why do I want to do what you do? You're miserable and I'm happy. Think about that. Man, that's the way I thought. Once again, value.
Yeah.
See, the devil's going to create value for you. Because that's my mindset. I'm going with him. Because I have fun. It's fun. Why don't I go over there? Look, everybody's drinking sour pickle juice.
Yeah.
Why don't I want to hang out with those people? I don't care. I was just with a friend of mine that he never said anything to me about Christ. That he just showed me that he was crazy and he was in love with Jesus. So that became valuable to me. He never said anything to me. He showed me.
Yeah.
There's more caught than there is taught.
Yeah.
So when I'm with my clients, I want them to know I value you. And I'm going to be very confidential. Then I get them to trust me. Then they'll open the heart. Then we start tearing apart what that is. It's like one of my customers said, Greg, you're like a fisherman and your customers are out in the river and you're throwing a magnet and you're drawing things out of them in that safe harbor environment. And you're putting it on the bank and they swim over to the bank and they look, here's all of my things that are in my heart and my spirit. Leave the non-essential here. Just take the mindsets out that help you grow, help you become who you want to become. And just leave the rest of it here. Now, I can't make you do anything. You can take it all with you if you want to take it all with you. That's up to you.
I think that's great. I mean, for me, I just learned just a valuable concept. My mindset has been changed even right now. And just thinking, to know that it's not all about one person having this drive to change on their own. Like some people may need some help, may need some guidance in doing that. For me, I didn't need that guidance. I had information and I was self-driven to make some of these changes. But in your experience with people making changes in their life, that there's probably a larger group of people than I even thought of that really needs someone to help them make those mindset changes along the way. They don't know what to do, but they just need the help. It's not enough to say, here, go do it and figure it out or change. They need someone to help pull that out, like you were saying.
Yeah, it's sort of like I love coaches that coach little league sports, and they get beat. I'm a sore loser, so I'm not saying anything about that. I was a volcano. So I got a bunch of horror stories how I treated my two sons. But we fixed all that and restored that. And I just prayed that 16, 17, 18 don't have any daddy issues. Then one of them finally told me, would you shut up about that? I'm good. You and I are good. Okay. Because I didn't want them to go out and not be able to be the very best version because I said something to them. Because I put a lot of pressure on them to be the best. That's a lot of pressure.
Mhm.
Yeah.
But I flipped that when they were 12 and 13 to say, I want you to be your best, not the best. As long as you're
That's
doing
good.
your best.
Was that coming from your mindset too, would you say? Like, because I know you really wanted to be the best, or you weren't like,
Oh yeah. Yeah. I just want, but my mom and dad, my dad probably said something very powerful to me. I was going into my senior year of football. It's funny when y'all triggered something in my brain right there. And so I had a lot of injuries, neck problems, concussions, and just make a long story short, do I want to play? Do I have to play? Can I play? I've been in a lot of those decisions in my football career. And my dad said, because my dad he played football in the Army. He was a high school football coach. That's all I knew to do was play sports. And the biggest one was football. And he said, Greg, don't play this year for me. He said, don't do it for me. Do it for yourself. Well, I just started crying.
Wow. That's
Because
huge.
because I didn't know, was I doing it for him?
mm,
Because I know it makes him happy.
Yeah.
Then he talks about me. But he gave that to me. I can do whatever. I felt free
mhm.
Wow.
to do whatever I wanted to do. I can quit. He's okay. He loves me. He's my daddy.
Yeah.
Or I can go play and become paralyzed, and he's still gonna be my daddy.
Yeah.
So that's how I looked at the decision. I'm 22 years old, and I said, this is the only thing I've ever thought about my whole life. I'm going to play
Mm.
because I don't want to have a regret to go, why didn't I play?
Right.
So I'm going to push it to the limit, and that's my personality. Okay, so not everybody's like me. It took me to 44 years old to figure that out, but that's my personality. So I pushed it to the limit.
Mm.
As long as they said I could play, I'm willing to be paralyzed. Because the trainer would come to me because I would be so much fear in me the first quarter. I'd be on the bench between series where I played defense, and I'd be sitting over there crying. I had so much fear about myself because I wanted to play. My mindset was I got to play because that brings me value, right? That's my identity. That's my belief system. It's my mindset, however you want to phrase that.
Yeah.
And Doc E, one of my greatest fans of my life, would always come over there, and he just put his arm around me. He never would say anything. Because he knew the struggle. He'd seen all the pain and anxiety I'd been through in those 4 years. And he never said anything. He was there for me.
Mm.
And somebody needs to hear that right now. There's people out there that we just need to go be with them.
That's good.
That's so
You
good.
don't have to fix anything.
Yeah.
That's what Doc E told me. If you want to help someone, go be present.
Mm. Yeah.
Don't worry about if you got the solution. You'll never have the solution. But when we just go be present with someone and tell them you have value. Because if we can give more people the mindset of I'm valuable, think about all the bad behavior that'll go away.
Yeah.
Well, I was just about to ask you if there's something you're going to leave the audience with, what would it be? And you just nailed it right there.
You got to know you're valuable.
Yeah.
And I tell everybody there's 4 psychological factors of a human being: to be understood, to be validated, to be appreciated, to be affirmed. We all need that. As my wife would say, you need it too, because I need her to validate me. Yeah, I need to be understood, appreciated, affirmed. But when she validates me, when my wife validates me, I'll run through hell and back.
Yeah.
If my mom validates me, I don't need anybody to validate me. The world can make fun of me. It doesn't bother me. My mom, you all good, I'm gone. I don't know why I'm wired that way. I'm just through, because when you coach people, I learn about myself. Every coach says I learn something new about myself. So I can be scared of that, or I can just write it on a piece of paper. Oh, need to think about that a little bit more. Get somebody to go talk to someone about that.
Yeah.
Because for me, for the last 4 years, I've learned that conversations solve problems. Just being there builds value in people.
Yeah.
That's so good.
100%.
So with all of that said, this is very, very awesome. And I told you time was going to fly. Can you believe we have already
Within what, 10 minutes?
Right. So yeah, that's what I was gonna say. I was gonna have you just leave us with one more thought, but you segued right into that and just nailed it. And so before we totally close out, so tell us, tell our audience where we can find Greg Taylor if they want to learn more information. If you're listening to this, you're in the corporate arena and you need to improve your workplace. Greg does corporate coaching. Just tell us a little bit, Greg.
I do professional speaking. I have a book, Find Your Winning Edge. I have a leadership program that I've developed, Take Another Step System, Inspirational Leadership Workshop. So I do professional speaking, leadership coaching, and group coaching, individual coaching. And you can find me on findyourwinningedge.com. I have a podcast, the leadershipfactorypodcast.com, because the lane I'm really trying to run is develop more disciples so they can go multiply.
Mm-hmm.
I was talking to a very wise gentleman today. He said, Greg, I see you as a leader of leaders. That means you're developing leaders. I went, that's what God told me to do. That's my purpose.
Yeah.
Is to help people. Because my favorite definition of a leader is a person that inspires another to take a journey that they're not going to take by themselves. I think I said that earlier.
Yeah. Yep.
So that's the premise of my workshop. So I'm all over social media. You can go to, it's Winning Edge Greg or Greg Taylor on Facebook, Winning Edge on Facebook and Instagram and Twitter. It's Winning Edge Greg. LinkedIn, it's Greg and Winning Edge. So
and we'll post all those in our when we release the podcast. We'll have all those links below. So if you're watching, you can just go and connect with Greg. And man, I definitely would highly recommend. Yeah.
Can I say something else, Coach?
Yeah.
As my wife would say, now, Greg, be nice. Well, if I can ask him a question, is that being nice? Yeah, I guess. Okay. So see, that's a mindset of I desire to be nice. Why do I want to be nice? Because that uplifts people's spirits.
Yeah.
Because my goal and everybody's goal is to love people. And love is an action word.
Mm-hmm.
And if we love people, if you're just present, you're going to increase their value that they have within themselves. Then the more value they build, momentum starts rising, then they can change their mindset.
Yeah.
When you're depressed with anxiety and I can't, and people's oppressed you, that gnat can't get out of that jar. But if you want out of that jar, you got to get people around you that see value in you. And if people tear your value down, you need to put a wall up with that person.
Yeah.
You need to find people speaking life into you and run from the people who are speaking death. You
Right.
just got to run from them.
So good. Yes.
And get around the right people speaking life into you, then your value is going to increase and your mind's going to explode of all the things that you can do. See, I flunked English, basically, make a long story short. I mean, my wife and two boys have taught me more about the English language than anybody. My wife's taught me more about writing, and I have a writing coach that helps me write. Because it's okay that you don't know how to do that. Go find somebody who can help you.
Right.
Yeah.
See, but I had to get over the fear of rejection for me to go ask for help, because one reason that I failed in business was I wouldn't accept counsel. Think about that.
Right.
Make a long story short, the number one reason I failed was a spiritual element. Plans failed due to lack of counsel. I was a know-it-all, arrogant, pompous. But plans succeed due to many advisors. If you want to change your mindset, and if you want to grow internally, spiritually, physically, socially, mentally, financially, go get a coach. Or be around people that love you and encourage you.
Yeah. So good.
That's great. Great advice.
Yeah.
Anything else you got? Are you good? I know we go on for hours, but
yeah. That's right. As a consultant lady told me, she said, you're like trying to talk to a fire hydrant.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, Greg, I really appreciate you coming on and sharing all your wisdom and personal experience and on the topic of mindset, but just way more than that, just life in general. So many life lessons here today. We're really grateful that you took the time to come on and share with us. Thank you so much.
Well, and Greg, I'm so thankful too that like you really are the person. You practice what you preach, and you add value to everyone that you are around. And so I am just so thankful for that. And so I know you have added so much value to my life. So thank you, Greg.
Hey,
Yeah.
I love your song. Come and I'll dance with you. And what's that all about?
Belief,
It's
mindset.
about helping someone to
Yeah.
say, you're special, I'll dance with you.
Yeah.
That there's-
Right.
Yeah.
You're telling someone that feels no value to say, I love you, you have value, I'll dance with you.
Yeah.
And when I listen to your song, that stirs something in me where I just cry. Because I was that kid that didn't feel like I was worthy.
Mm.
And I had to prove it to everybody every day of my life. That's a lot of stress.
Mhm.
So you keep dancing with people.
Yeah.
Yeah, let's all keep dancing with people.
Yes.
All right, let's do it.
So
Well,
good.
and thank you all for tuning in, and those who have tuned in. We trust that you have learned lots of stuff here from Greg and the Winning Edge. So check the links below. Go and check out his stuff, and we believe in you. That's why we wouldn't be doing this. You have value, just like Greg says, and reach out to us, reach out to Greg. We can help you improve your life. So thank you all for tuning in, and until next time, you guys have a great day.
See ya.
Thanks so much for joining us today on the Legacy Builders podcast. We would love to hear from y'all. Go tag us on Facebook and Instagram and let us know what your biggest takeaway from today's episode was.